Enjoy.
Hello, my name is Judy. I'm here in Canada and I'm about to cook something called Canada Glory Bowl. But I think we'll call it just Glory Bowl because whatever country you're in, I'm sure it will taste glorious. It's a combination of two recipes. One is the Glory Bowl sauce and the other is the tofu jerky. So I'm going to begin I will do several steps, but the first step is we're going to work with the tofu and turn it into tofu jerky for the recipe that we will have later. A word about tofu: any of you who are transitioning onto a vegetarian diet or have already made that transition, of course when we do that we meet tofu maybe for the first time in our lives. And some of us, it might be an old friend. We may have had Asian friends and been exposed to tofu in the West. But for me, tofu was not part of my life until I became a vegetarian. So I'm always looking for interesting things to do with tofu. So today we're going to make tofu jerky first, and then we're going to make a Glory Bowl sauce and make the bowl with the tofu jerky on it. This is going to take probably 5 minutes to get ready, but it's going to be in the oven for 6 hours. So this is a two-part project. So we'll start now, and then we'll come back when the tofu's finished in the oven. Here we go. So we need 2 firm blocks of tofu, and you are going to need, this is wood smoke, hickory wood smoke. It's got the flavoring of wood smoke, and it's just a liquid that's come off of the steam of a cedar fire. This is soy sauce, a little bit of cayenne pepper, a little bit of sugar. I'm using organic sugar, and a little bit of black pepper. And that's all we need for this beautiful recipe. So how it begins is I'm just going to cut these tofu into very long and thin strips, and I'm going to place them on this board here so that they're sitting pretty close to each other, but actually even touching. So you can see that the tofu is about maybe a 1/4 inch, maybe a 1/2 inch across. They're going to shrink. They're going to shrivel in the oven over time, and they'll become sort of a jerky format, which is a hard, chewy, that's why I take a moment and have a piece stop while I'm cooking. So I'll do these all until they're nicely in. See, they'll be a bit tight, and that's okay. It's actually better if they're tight. And I always have an extra block of tofu around just in case they don't fill the full pan, but it looks like this one will. And so that's how we begin. That one's a bit too fat, but that's okay. They'll work themselves out. And then this is tricky. So do what you can. Make them all fit in that one pan. A bit tricky. I might slide this one over. Here we go. And this one. Perfect. All right. So that's the first part. Now we're going to make the sauce that I'm going to pour over this, and I'm going to marinate it probably for 4 or 5 hours. Tofu doesn't really absorb much, but sort of feels like it does. So that's the instruction. I'm going to begin with a 1/2 cup of soy sauce, and then I'm going to do a third, 1/2 cup of soy sauce, 4 tablespoons of this hickory smoke. If you've never used it, you find it in sometimes it's in the ketchup or the oil section of the grocery store, our local grocery store. But in barbecue season, it tends to be gone very, very quickly. I don't know why. But 2, 3, 4. So that's what gives it the flavor of being smoked, which is very nice. I'm going to do 1/8 of a cup of water. Oh, this is 1/4. I'll just do half. 1/8 of a cup of water. And final ingredient, we do pepper. It's supposed to be a tablespoon. I'll include all of the ingredients and the amounts at the end of the video so you can see it all. And I like to put, and a teaspoon of sugar. There we go. And I like to put cayenne because I like a little spice. So sometimes it's too much for others, but I love it. Half a cup of eggs. That's it. Very easy. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it over the tofu. You can see so that every tofu gets some of it. And then I'm going to cover it with plastic wrap. It's pretty strong smell in the kitchen, so hopefully you don't mind that. The sugar doesn't usually fully melt, so I just move it around in there. So that's it for our tofu jerky. But we're going to put it to sit now for the next 2 or 3 hours, and then we're going to put it in the oven. So I'll leave it like this for now, and I'm going to pause, and then I'm going to get all the ingredients ready for the sauce so that you can see how to make the sauce, and I'll show you the other part. So this is going to go sit on the counter for the next 3-4 hours, and then I'm going to put it in the oven at the lowest temperature, which is 200 Fahrenheit here, and I don't know where you are what that would be, but I'll do the translation online. So, and I'll turn it every hour. I'll put the timer on, and I will leave it in the oven, and I will turn with tongs every hour. I will turn for probably 6 hours, and I will show you what it looks like as it gets drier and drier and drier as it shrinks and the moistness is gone, and then you'll see at exactly the point where it's ready. Okay. Okay, so this is part 2. We're going to make the sauce, the glory sauce that goes on the big bowl of rice with raw vegetables around it, and our tofu jerky, which will be sliced very fine and layered on the top. You'll see at the end, but this is the second step now, is I'll make the sauce. This is the glory bowl sauce. Most of us as vegetarians get pretty used to this this thing called nutritional yeast, because it's got a lot of B12 in it, and we need that in a vegetarian diet. So if you haven't had it before, it's very, very flavorful. It makes vegan cheese taste really good. So we need 1/2 cup of this nutritional yeast. It's just little flakes, really, and 1/3 of a cup of tamari or Bragg's. I find 1/3 of a cup each. I find that's really salty, so I usually do almost 1/3 of soy sauce and 1/3 of Bragg's. And then we need 1/3 of a cup of applesauce. This is a game of thirds, this one. And a full apple cider. Really gives quite a strong flavor. Really healthy, probiotic for us. And 1/3 a cup of water. Okay, cup of water. And then we need 2 tablespoons of peanut butter or tamari. And I like the peanut butter. So I'm going to do that. And I usually use a little bit more than 2 tablespoons. I usually just do a bunch. So you put in a bunch if you like. I probably have about 3 tablespoons in there. It makes it really creamy. So, and then our last ingredient, quite a bit of it, is olive oil. So 1.5 cups of olive oil is going to make it very creamy and very smooth and very thick. And on a vegetarian diet, we tend to need to get oil through things like avocados, and because we don't, especially if you're not eating a lot of junk food, you wouldn't be getting a lot of oil, and so this is a good oil to have. So that's okay. It seems like a lot, but it's really great. And then, oh, one more ingredient, ginger. We need probably half, it says we need 1/2 inch. And when it says 1/2 inch, I always understand that to mean 1 inch. So I usually put 1 inch, sometimes 2 inches, or sometimes just a big pile. Kind of like that when you cook. Just kind of do what feels right. And to me today, about that much feels right. It's probably 1 inch. Put that in, and I'm gonna, I don't use the blender, I just use this little handheld thing, and I'm gonna blend it all up. I'll save you the noise of that, but I'll show you what it looks like afterwards because it's really smooth and lovely. So if I can pause you, I don't know how to pause. Oh dear. All right then, I will see you later. So you can see how thick it is. It's a really nice thick sauce, and this will keep in the fridge. Put a nice lid on it. It'll keep in the fridge for a week to 10 days. So that's step 2, making the sauce. And then the next step is cutting vegetables and getting the platters ready, but I'll show you that when the tofu's ready. So here I am, I'm about to prepare the bits that will go on top of a beautiful bed of rice to make our glory bowl complete. And I'm just going to show you the kinds of, it's mostly the size that's important. We're just going to do shreddings of beautiful colored vegetables. So you can see here I'm doing spinach. I will get some broccoli flowerets and make them as tiny as possible. I'm making little shredded, you can see the capsicum is shredded, and I will do the same. So I like to get some red. I've got a red capsicum, and I'm going to do red and orange and yellow, as many colors as you can get, and then coriander for the top. And I'm showing you this so you can see the size, how very small I am cutting them, so that they will be like little, almost like sprinkles. I'm going to sprinkle these onto a bed of rice and make it look beautiful. And the tofu, jerky, will be the final aspect with the sauce on top. So, see you tomorrow after the tofu jerky is cooked, and we will construct this. We will construct this together. This is after 2 hours. I'm about to turn each one of them. You can see they're just starting to turn a bit brown. When you turn it over, you can see that the other one is a little bit lighter. So this is going to go on every hour now for 6 hours at 200 Fahrenheit, and every hour I will come and turn these. So this is the third time turning. You can see how they begin to curl a little bit. And every hour, the turning flattens them and darkens the other side until eventually they're pretty shriveled little things, but it's tofu jerky. So that's what it's meant to be. So we'll do this again 3 more times, maybe only 2, let's see. I'll show you the finished product so you see what they look like. So this is hour 5. You can see how dry and kind of not quite crispy yet. They still bend a little bit, but they're pretty dark and they're pretty dry. And I think I'm just going to do, I might not even do one last hour. I might just turn off the oven and let them just sit in. Oh no, still got a little bit of white on them. So let me see, I'm going to show you, I'm going to break one so you can see what it looks like inside, because you want tofu itself to be, let's see if I can do this, break it inside and let you see what's there. So see, it's still quite white inside, so I'm going to let that go. You can see here it's starting to get dark around the edges, so I'm going to let this go for another hour at the full 200 and see where we get with that. I think 1 more hour should be enough. So that would have been 6 hours turned every hour. It's a bit of an investment, but well worth it in the end. So here's the final form of the tofu, and I've got it on a cutting board and I've cut it up into little tiny pieces so you can see what it looks like inside. And over here we have a nice bed of rice and vegetables all around it. I'm going to add a little bit of sprouts on top, some fresh coriander, cilantro, and we will put these all over. And that, my friends, with the sauce, is Canada Glory Bowl. Enjoy!